Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kearney Math Show. On today's episode of the Kearney Math Show, we are going to be featuring tax, tip, and commission. So if you will go ahead and write at the top of your mini lesson that this is entry. Now, let me check the backboard to make sure Miss Kearney says it right today. This is going to be your entry number 6. Okay, entry number 6. Mini lesson 5 is entry number 6. And today's learning goal is that you should be able to, by the end of today, solve percent word problems involving tax, tip, and commission. And guys, this mini lesson, I think, again, is super important. If I haven't said this before, let me just say it again. This whole unit, to me, is probably one of the most important units you will probably ever learn in math. And that's because I think that I love learning things that I know I'm going to use. And this is something you're going to use the rest of your life. Percents are everywhere. Every time you go eat at the restaurant, you have to leave a tip. That's a percent. Every time you pay for something, usually you have to pay a tax. That's a percent. When you go shopping, if you see a discount, that's a percent. Something today we're going to talk about is commission. Some people are going to end up growing up and getting jobs where you're going to earn commission. That is a percent. So this is so super important. Now, good news is that today's mini lesson is basically almost the exact same as we did just a few days ago. Discount and markup is very similar to tax, tip, and commission. And yet again, we're still going to use that same percent proportion. So for all percent problems, remember percent is always going to go over 100. That's right. And so if we have 100% of something, we have a whole. And if we only have a certain percent, that would be a part. So percent over 100 equals part over whole. Okay? So for all of these problems, we're going to continue to use that. And I'm going to go ahead, just to help me out, and go ahead and write entry number 6. Okay? So the very first section that we're going to talk about is something called tip. Now, you all, I'm sure everyone here has been to a restaurant. And usually when you get up, not only do you have to pay for your food, but you typically want to leave a little extra money to pay your waiter or waitress, okay? So tip is the extra money paid to someone who provides a service. For example, you leave for your waiter, your waitress. Sometimes when you get your nails done, you might leave a tip. Sometimes when you get your hair done, you might leave a tip. It's just that little extra to say thank you for your service. So we're going to solve these problems exactly the same way. Now think about it like this. Discount took away from the total. Markup added to the total. What do you think tip does? You have to pay for your food and you leave a tip. So what do you think that does? That's right, it increases the total. So you're going to end up adding. So just like we did the other day, when we read a problem, we're going to do our WTK, our want to know. So for this one, it says the meal cost $110, and I'm right here, the first example. The service was great, and you want to leave a 20% tip. Okay, sometimes people leave 10%, typically 15%. And if it's really, really good, you leave a 20% tip. Okay, so how much is the tip and what is the total meal? So I'm going to come to the side and I'm going to do my WTK. And this one actually asks for 2 things, the tip and the total. So my tip and my total. That's just going to help me know that when I'm solving this problem, I don't want to stop until I've solved for those WTKs. The tip and the total. So when I read the problem, it says that the service was great, not only the 20% tip. So 20, this is percent, goes over 100. And then my meal is $110.89. That means that if I just pay for my 100% of my meal, that would be the cost. So that's going to go on my whole. That's the whole cost of the meal. And then that 20% is that little something extra. We've got to figure out what that little something extra is. So, same thing as always, we're going to cross multiply, and we're going to divide. And when I cross multiply and divide, I get $22.18. Now, go back to the problem. It asks for the tip and the total. So what do you think that $22.18 is? That's right, that's the 20% tip. So I'm going to go to the side and write that in, $22.18. And then so if I want to find the total, I've still got to pay for my food, and I have to pay for my tip. So what do you think I'm going to do with those two? That's right, I'm going to add them. So $22.18, I'm going to go ahead and add that $110.89 to that. And when I add them, I get that my total bill for all of my food and the tip is $133.07. And so after I'm done, I go back and I read the question again to just make sure I've answered my WTKs. It asked me for my tip, perfect, that was $22.18, and my total, perfect, $133.07. So I've done both of them, okay? So that's tip. Basically, it's the same thing as a markup. It's just a percent we're adding on to our total, okay? Our next section is commission. So commission here is the money that's paid on an amount of sales. So for example, if you ever work in sales, for example, maybe you sell houses, maybe you sell cars, maybe you sell jewelry, maybe you sell furniture. Usually when you work in that position, sometimes you get paid by the hour, but a lot of times you get paid by the amount that you sell because you want to sell more so you can make more money. So that's why a lot of times people in sales are constantly trying to sell things because they're going to make more money by the more they sell. So we're going to set these columns up exactly the same way. So here it says you are a real estate. You earn 4.5% commission on a household for $175,000. How much commission did you earn? So you're selling a house for $175,000. Now, you're not going to make all of that because you're just the real estate agent. Okay, so you're only going to make a certain percentage. In this problem, you're going to make 4.5% of that. So we're going to set it up exactly the same way. Percent over 100 equals part over whole. So since it's 4.5%, percent means out of 100. So 4.5 out of 100. And then the 175,000, is that my part or is that my whole? That's right. That's your whole. That's your 100%. So that's going to go on the bottom, $175,000. And then I'm looking for the amount that I made. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to do my WTK. My WTK here is I'm looking for the commission. I'm looking for that little bit that I made off of selling this house. Okay. So same thing here. We're going to cross multiply and divide. And when I cross multiply and divide, I get that I earned $7,875 on commission. Now, let me ask you something. You're probably saying, well, do we need to add or subtract that? Well, you sold a house for $175,000. You're only going to make a certain percentage of that. So you're not going to make more than that. And we don't want to take it away from the total. That's just the amount that you're making. So that is my final answer. Okay, and the very last section is essentially the same thing as tip. Okay, tax here is the extra money added to a price. Okay, so we're going to set that up exactly the same way. And for tax, what do you think that does to the total? That's right, it increases the total. So I'm going to probably more than likely add to the total. Okay. So let's read number one and figure out our WTK. So it says if a coat costs $45.56 and the tax is 7%, what is the total cost of the coat with tax? So I've got to pay for the coat and I've got to pay for the tax. So my WTK for this one is I'm looking for the total. And really, in order to find the total, I've got to find the amount of the coat and the tax. So for me, I might remind myself, I got to find the tax first, and then my ultimate goal is to look for the total. Okay? So it says the tax is 7%. So 7 over 100, since it's percent, and the coat costs $45.56. That's the original 100%. So I'm going to put down the bottom, $45.56, and I'm looking for how much tax. And just like we always do, we're going to cross multiply and divide. And I get that the tax is $3.19. Okay, so remind me again, what was our want to know? Our want to know was the total. So is $3.19 the total? Definitely not. That's my tax. I've got to pay $3.19 in tax. on top of the original coat, which was $45.56. So that means with those two, I've got to pay for the coat and the tax. So I'm going to do what with those? That's right, I'm going to add them, $45.56. So when I add the tax to the original coat, I get my total cost is $48.75. And then I'm finished. Okay, so my big advice to you guys, because in just a minute, you're going to start practicing some of these on your own. My big advice is continue with those WTKs. Figure out, what is the question asking? Is it asking for the total, or is it just asking for the tip? Go ahead and write to the side your WTKs. That way, when you finish the problem, you can say, have I found what it was asking? Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to go through each of those sections we just did. You have another practice problem. Okay, work through those problems. If you forget how to do it, look above it. They're the exact steps that I did with you. Okay, and when you finish those, go over to the counter and check the answer key. And then if you're good to go with those, then you can go ahead and start the practice problems on the right. Great job today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the Kearney Math Show, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Peace out, Rainbow Trout. Love you, mean it. XOXO.